Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Yeah, thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book and take page number 38. Yeah, so in today's class we will discuss about VELUNACHIYAR, MARUDHU brothers and VEERAN CHINNAMALAI. So you know, in our previous class we are discussing about the freedom struggle in Tamil Nadu. You know, so freedom struggle in Tamil Nadu, early revolt in Tamil Nadu. So the polygar system. You know, so introduced about the polygar system. So polygar method. Yeah, we will discuss Pulithavar and Kattapomman, how they rose against British and why they rise against the British. Yeah, then how they were defeated. Yeah. So in today's class we will discuss about VELUNACHIYAR and also Marudhu brothers. So Periya Marudhu and Chinna Marudhu, and finally about VEERAN CHINNAMALAI. Okay, ma? So in our previous class we discussed about the origin of Palayam. So Palayakar system. So who introduced Palayakar system? Yeah, Viswanatha Nayak. Yeah, so how many Palayakars are there? Yeah, so 72 Palayams are there. Yeah, then we discussed about the revolt of the Palayakars. So the first Indian to rose against the British was Pulithavar. Yeah, so we discussed about Pulithavar, and Pulithavar, how he had quarrel with, how he fought with the British. Yeah, so Pulithavar, so he belongs to Nerkattum Seval in Tirunelveli. Yeah, he was defeated by Captain Campbell in the year 1767. Then we discussed about Veerapandiya Kattapomman. Yeah, so Veerapandiya Kattapomman, so his ancestors belong to Andhra. Yeah, so they migrated to Tamil country during 11th century. Yeah, his capital city was Panjalanguruchi. Yeah, so we discussed how, so the quarrel, so the problem start between Veerapandiya Kattapomman and English. Yeah, so the problem arose when Jackson was appointed as the collector of Ramanathapuram. So he was an arrogant collector. Yeah, so his way of collecting tax, so create problem, so create tension between Veerapandiya Kattapomman and English. Yeah, so Veerapandiya Kattapomman so later decided to join with the Marudhu brothers. Yeah, but he was not allowed to meet them. Yeah, so but Veerapandiya Kattapomman was not allowed to meet Marudhu brothers. Yeah, so Kattapomman so tried to attack Sivagiri Palayam. So Sivagiri Palayam was one of the tributary of English. So the English regarded it as a challenge and declared war on Panjalanguruchi. Yeah, so in the battle, Kattapomman was defeated and he escaped to the forest region. Yeah, but he was captured by the Raja of Pudukkottai and handed over to the British. So the British, after inquiry, so hanged him to death on 16th October 1799. So we discussed these things in our previous class. So fall of Pulithavar and also fall of Veerapandiya Kattapomman. Okay, so today we will discuss about VELUNACHIYAR, Marudhu brothers, and also VEERAN CHINNAMALAI. VELUNACHIYAR. So who was VELUNACHIYAR? So she was a queen of Sivagangai. So VELUNACHIYAR was a queen of Sivagangai. At the age of 16, she was married to Muthu Vaduganadhar, the Raja of Sivagangai. So VELUNACHIYAR, she was a queen of Sivagangai. Yeah. At the age of 16, she was married to Muthu Vaduganadhar, the Raja of Sivagangai. In 1772, the Nawab of Arcot and the British troops invaded Sivagangai. So at the age of 16, VELUNACHIYAR was married to Muthu Vaduganadhar. He was the Raja of Sivagangai. So in the year 1772, the Nawab of Arcot and the English troops invaded Sivagangai. So they killed Muthu Vaduganadhar, so the husband and the Raja of Sivagangai. Yeah, so the husband of VELUNACHIYAR and the Raja of Sivagangai. Yeah. So both the Nawab of Arcot and the British, so they killed Muthu Vaduganadhar in the Kalayar Koil battle. Yeah, so they killed, so the Nawab of Arcot and the British troops invaded Sivagangai and they killed Muthu Vaduganadhar in Kalayar Koil battle. VELUNACHIYAR escaped with her daughter Vellachi Nachiyar. So VELUNACHIYAR escaped with her daughter Vellachi Nachiyar and lived under the protection of Gopala Nayakar at Virupachi near Dindigul. So VELUNACHIYAR escaped with her daughter Vellachi Nachiyar and she lived under the protection of Gopala Nayakar at Virupachi near Dindigul. So during this period, she organized an army and employed her intelligent agents. So during his period, so during his hiding period, So VELUNACHIYAR, she escaped from the Sivagangai palace because her husband was killed in the Kalayar battle. So she escaped from the palace and she lived under the protection of Gopala Nayakar, who was at Virupachi near Dintikal. So during that period, she organized an army and employed her intelligence agents to find where the British stored their ammunition. So ammunition means the place the weapons were stored. So the place where the weapons are kept. So during the period, she organized an army and she employed her intelligent agents, so secret agents, to find where the British stored their ammunition. So she arranged a suicide attack by a faithful follower, Kuili, a commander of VELUNACHIYAR. So she arranged a suicide attack by a faithful follower, Kuili, a commander of VELUNACHIYAR. She recaptured Sivagangai and was again crowned as queen with the help of Marudhu brothers. So she recaptured Sivagangai and she was again crowned as a queen of Sivagangai with the help of Marudhu brothers. So she was the first queen to fight against the British colonial power in India. So VELUNACHIYAR was the first queen to fight against the British colonial power in India. So she is known by Tamils as Veeramangai and also known as the Jhansi Rani of South India. So she is known by Tamil people as Veeramangai VELUNACHIYAR. So she was nicknamed as Veeramangai VELUNACHIYAR and she was also known as the Jhansi Rani of South India. So VELUNACHIYAR, she was the queen of Sivagangai. At the age of 16, she was married to Muthuvaduganadhar, the Raja of Sivagangai. In 1772, the Nawab of Arcot and the British troops invaded Sivagangai and defeated and killed Muthuvaduganadhar at the Battle of Kalayar. So VELUNACHIYAR escaped with her daughter VELUNACHIYAR and she lived under the protection of Gopala Nayak of Virupachi near Dintikal. So during that period, she arranged, she organized an army and she employed some intelligent agents, so secret agents, to know where the British have stored their ammunition. So she arranged a suicide attack by a faithful follower, Kuili, a commander of VELUNACHIYAR. So then she recaptured Sivagangai with the help of Marudhu brothers, and she became the queen of Sivagangai. So she was nicknamed, she was praised as Veeramangai and also called as Jhansi Rani of South India. Then Marudhu brothers. So Marudhu brothers were the sons of Mookaiya Palaniyappan and Ponnathal. So Marudhu brothers, so they were the sons of Mookaiya Palaniyappan and Ponnathal. So the elder brother was called as Periya Marudhu or Vella Marudhu and the younger brother was called as Chinnamalai. So Marudhu brothers, so their parents were Mookaiya Palaniyappan and Ponnathal. So the elder brother was called as Periya Marudhu or Vella Marudhu and the younger brother was called as Chinnamalai. So Chinnamalai was more popular and he was called as Marudhu Pandiyan. So when compared to Vella Marudhu, Periya Marudhu, Chinnamalai was more popular and he was called Marudhu Pandiyan. So Chinnamalai served under Muthuvaduganadhar Periya Udayathevar, so the Raja of Sivagangai. So who was the Raja of Sivagangai, and he only married VELUNACHIYAR. So Chinnamalai served under Muthuvaduganadhar Periya Udayathevar of Sivagangai. In 1772, the Nawab of Arcot and the British, so they attacked Sivagangai and defeated Muthuvaduganadhar. So in 1772, the Nawab of Arcot laid a siege of Sivagangai and captured it. Muthuvaduganadhar Periya Udayathevar died in the battle. So in which battle? Kalayar battle. But however, after a few months, Sivagangai was again recaptured by the Marudhu brothers. However, after a few months, Sivagangai was recaptured by Marudhu brothers and Periya Marudhu was enthroned. So Periya Marudhu was enthroned as the ruler and Chinnamalai acted as his advisor. In 1772, the Nawab of Arcot attacked Sivagangai and captured it. Muthuvaduganadhar died in the battle. But after some time, Sivagangai was again recaptured by the Marudhu brothers and Periya Marudhu was enthroned as the ruler. Chinnamalai acted as his advisor. So due to the terrorist activities against the British, he was called as Lion of Sivagangai. So due to the terrorist activities against the British, so Chinnamalai was called as the Lion of Sivagangai. In the latter half of the 18th century, the rebellion against the British was carried by the Marudhu brothers in South India. So in latter half of 18th century, the rebellion against the British was carried by Marudhu brothers in South India. So Marudhu brothers, so they were the sons of Mukkaiya Palaniyappan and Ponnathal. The elder brother was called as Periya Marudhu and the younger brother was called as Chinnamalai. So Chinnamalai was more popular and he was called as Marudhu Pandiyan. So Chinnamalai served under Muttuvadukanath Periya Thevar of Sivaganga. In 1772, the Nawab of Arcot attacked Sivaganga and killed Muttuvadukanath. Okay, but however, after few months, Sivaganga was recaptured and Marudhu brothers captured the throne. So Periya Marudhu was enthroned as the ruler and Chinnamalai acted as its advisor. So due to the terrorist activities against the British, Chinnamalai or Marudhu Pandiyan was called as the Lion of Sivagangai. In the latter half of the 18th century, the rebellion against the British was carried by the Marudhu brothers in South India. So causes for the conflict. So what was the problem? So when the problem arose between Marudhu brothers and the British, Kattabomman was hanged to death. So when was Kattabomman hanged to death? 16th October 1799. So Kattabomman was hanged to death and his brother Oomathurai and others fled to Sivaganga. So Kattabomman was hanged to death. After that his brother Oomathurai and Savataya, so the brothers of Kattabomman, they escaped to Sivaganga and Marudhu Pandiyan gave protection to them. So Kattabomman was hanged to death and his brother Oomathurai and his friends and others so fled to, so they escaped to Sivaganga where Marudhu Pandiyan gave protection to them. So the merchants of Sivaganga did not like the interference of the company in their internal politics. So the merchants, so the business, the traders of Sivaganga did not like the company, so the English is in the company, interfering in their internal politics. So the company waged war against Sivaganga for these two causes. So the company so declared war against Sivaganga. So why means first the brothers of Kattabomman and the supporters of Kattabomman were given shelter by Marudhu Pandiyan. Then second one, the merchants of Sivaganga did not like the company. So the interference of company in their internal politics. So these two things so make the company to declare war against Sivaganga. So the South Indian Rebellion, so which took place in there between 1800 to 1801. In February 1801, the brothers of Kattabomman, Oomathurai and Savataya. So already so the causes for the conflict. So Kattabomman hanged to death and his brothers Oomathurai and others fled to Sivaganga. So they say about this only. So in February 1801, the brothers of Kattabomman, Oomathurai and Savataya escaped from Palayangotai prison and reached Kamudi. So in February 1801, the brothers of Kattabomman, Oomathurai and Savataya escaped from Palayangotai prison and they reached Kamudi. Chinnamalai or Marudhu Pandiyan took them to Siruvayal, his capital. So Chinnamalai took Oomathurai and Savataya from Kamudi to his capital Siruvayal. They reconstructed their ancestral fort at Panjalanguruchi. So Panjalanguruchi, so the fort was demolished by British when they had war with Veeramandiya Kattabomman. Now Oomathurai and Savataya, with the help of Chinnamalai, reconstructed their ancestral fort at Panjalanguruchi. So now the British troops under Colin Macaulay retook the fort in April. So but the British troops under Colin Macaulay retook the fort. So again they recaptured the fort in April and the Palayakarar brothers sought shelter in Sivaganga. So the British troops under Colin Macaulay again recaptured the fort, Panjalanguruchi fort in April month. And the Palayakarars, Oomathurai and Savataya, now so they escaped to Sivaganga. The English demanded Marudhu Pandiyans to hand over the fugitives. The latter refused. So the English demanded the Marudhu Pandiyans to hand over the fugitives. So fugitive means so those who escaped from the prison. So Oomathurai and Savataya, they escaped from Palayangotai prison. So the English demanded the Marudhu Pandiyans to hand over the fugitives, Oomathurai and Savataya. But Marudhu Pandiyan refused. So Colonel Agnew and Colonel Innis marched against Marudhu Pandiyan. So Colonel Agnew and Colonel Innis marched against Marudhu Pandiyan. So the Palayakarar war assumed a much broader character than its predecessor. So the Palayakarar war assumed a much broader character than expected. It was directed by a confederacy consisting of Marudhu Pandiyar of Sivagangai, Gopalanayak of Dindukal, Kerala Varma of Malabar, and Krishnappa Nayak and Dondaji of Mysore. The English declared war against the confederacy. So confederacy, so formed by a group of people. So union. So who have same principles or same idea. Yeah. So the Palayakarar war assumed a much broader character than its predecessor. Yeah. So than they expect. Yeah. So some of the persons, some of the company persons thought it was just a war between the Marudhu brothers and the company. But it was directed by a confederacy consisting of Marudhu Pandiyar of Sivagangai, Gopala Nayak of Dindigul, Kerala Verma of Malabar, and Krishnappa Nayak and Dundaji of Mysore. So they joined with Marudhu Pandyan, Gopala Nayak, Kerala Verma, Krishnappa Nayak, and Dundaji. So they joined with Marudhu Pandiyar and declared war against the company. Then Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. So the Marudhu Pandiyas issued a proclamation of independence. So proclamation means official statement. So the Marudhu Pandiyan issued a proclamation of independence, so which is called as Tiruchirappalli Proclamation in June 1801. So the Marudhu Pandiyas issued a proclamation of independence called the Tiruchirappalli Proclamation in June 1801. The proclamation of 1801 was the first call to the Indians to unite against the British. So the first call to unite against the British was the proclamation of 1801. A copy of the proclamation was pasted on the walls of Nawab's palace in the fort of Trichy, and other copy was placed on the walls of Vaishnava temple at Srirangam. So Srirangam Lord Ranganatha temple. So the copy of proclamation was pasted on the walls of Nawab palace in the fort of Trichy, and another copy was placed on the walls of the Vaishnava temple at Srirangam. Thus, Marudhu brothers spread the spirit of opposition against the English everywhere. So the Marudhu brothers spread the energy, so spirit of opposition against the English everywhere. As a result, many Palayakaras of Tamil Nadu went on a rally to fight against the English. So because of this proclamation, many Palayakaras of Tamil Nadu went on a rally to fight against the English. Chinnamarudhu collected nearly 20,000 men to challenge the English army. So Chinnamarudhu collected nearly 20,000 men to challenge the English army. So British reinforcement, so British forces were rushed from Bengal, Ceylon and Malaya, that is from Malaysia. So the Rajas of Pudukkottai, Ettayapuram and Thanjavur stood by the British. So the British, so they also collected the army, so from Bengal, Ceylon and Malaysia. And also the Rajas of Pudukkottai, Ettayapuram and Thanjavur, so they stand along with the British. So because of this divide and rule policy, so the English split the forces of the Palayakarar. So the Marudhu Pandiyas issued a proclamation of independence called Tiruchirappalli Proclamation in June 1801. The proclamation of 1801 was the first call to the Indians to unite against the British. A copy of the proclamation was pasted on the walls of the Nawab's palace in the fort of Trichy, and another copy was placed on the walls of the Vaishnava temple at Srirangam. Thus, Marudhu brothers spread the spirit of opposition against the English everywhere. As a result, many Palayakars of Tamil Nadu went on a rally to fight against the English. The Chinnamarudhu collected nearly 20,000 men to challenge the English army. So the British reinforcement were rushed from Bengal, Ceylon and Malaysia. But the Rajas of Pudukkottai, Ettayapuram and Thanjavur, so they stand along with the British. So this policy, divide and rule policy, helped the success of British. English annexed Sivagangai. So how the company captured Sivagangai. In May 1801, English attacked the rebels in Thanjavur and Trichy areas. So in May 1801, the company forces attacked the rebels, so the Palayakaras in Thanjavur and Trichy areas. The rebels went to Piranmalai and Kalayar Koil. So can you remember that Kalayar Koil? Which is in Sivagangai. They were again defeated by the forces of the English. In the end, the superior military strength and the able commanders of the British army won the battle. So in the end, the superior military strength and the able commanders of the British army won the battle. The rebellion failed and the English annexed Sivagangai in 1801. So in May 1801, the English attacked the rebels in Thanjavur and Trichy areas. The rebels now escaped to Piranmalai and Kalayar Koil. They were again defeated by the forces of the English. So in the end, the superior military strength, so when compared to our Palayakara military strength, the English military strength was superior. So they have their modern weapons. So they were disciplined. So under the able commanders of the British army won the battle. The rebellion failed and the English annexed Sivagangai in 1801. The Marudhu brothers were executed in the fort of Tirupattur in Ramanathapuram district on 24th October 1801. So the Marudhu brothers were executed in the fort of Tirupattur in Ramanathapuram district on 24th October 1801. Omumathurai and Sivathaiya was captured and beheaded at Panjalangurichi on 16th November 1801. So Marudhu brothers, they were executed in the fort of Tirupattur on 24th October 1801. Then what happened to the brothers of Kattapamman, Omumathurai and Sivathaiya? So they were captured and beheaded at Panjalangurichi on 16th November 1801. So 73 rebels were sentenced to Penang in Malaya, then called the Prince of Wales Island. So 73 rebels were sentenced to Penang, an island in Malaya, so Malaysia. Then it was called as the Prince of Wales Island. So though they fell before the English, they were the pioneers in sowing the seeds of nationalism in the land of Tamil. So though the rebels was defeated, so the rebellion was suppressed by the English. So the rebellion were considered as the pioneer. So pioneer means so forerunner. So in showing the seeds of nationalism in the land of Tamil Nadu. Thus the South Indian Rebellion is a landmark in the history of Tamil Nadu. So thus the South Indian Rebellion, a landmark in the history of Tamil Nadu. Although the 1800-1801 rebellion was to be categorized in the British record as the Second Palayakarar War. So South Indian Rebellion is considered as the landmark in the history of Tamil Nadu. So but this rebellion was categorized as the Second Palayakarar War by the British record. So under the terms of the Karnataka Treaty on 31st July 1801, the British assumed direct control over Tamil Nadu. So under the terms of Karnataka Treaty on 31st July 1801, the British, they assumed the direct control over Tamil Nadu. The Palayakar system was abolished. So the Palayakar system introduced by Viswanatha Nayak. So it was abolished. Okay, so Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. So how English annexed Sivagangai. So till now you understand how VELUNACHIYAR and Marudhu brothers were strongly established the feeling of nationalism in the land of Tamil Nadu. Next, Dhiran Chinnamalai. So what do you know about Dhiran Chinnamalai? So he is from our region, so our native, so our district. So Dhiran Chinnamalai was born at Melapalayam in Chennimalai near Erode. So Dhiran Chinnamalai was born at Melapalayam in Chennimalai near Erode. His original name was, do you know his original name? Tirthagiri. So Dhiran Chinnamalai's original name was Tirthagiri. So he was a Palayakarar of Kongu country who fought against the British East India Company. So he was a Palayakarar of Kongu country who fought against the British East India Company. So the Kongu country so comprises of Salem, Coimbatore, Karur and Dindigul. So the Kongu country comprising Salem, Coimbatore, Karur and Dindigul formed a part of the Nayak kingdom of Madurai. So the Kongu country formed a part of the Nayak kingdom of Madurai, but it had been annexed by the Wadayars of Mysore. So the Kongu country comprising of Salem, Coimbatore, Karur and Dindigul formed a part of the Nayak kingdom of Madurai, but it had been annexed by the Wadayars of Mysore. But after the fall of Wadayars, these territories along with Mysore were controlled by the Mysore Sultan. So that is by Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. So after the fall of Wadayars, these territories along with Mysore were controlled by the Mysore Sultan. After the third and fourth Mysore wars, the entire Kongu region passed into the hands of the English. So the Kongu country comprising of Salem, Coimbatore, Karur and Dindigul. So Coimbatore means it includes our district also. So they formed a part of the Nayak kingdom of Madurai, but it had been annexed by the Wadayars of Mysore. So after the fall of Wadayars, these territories along with Mysore was controlled by the Mysore Sultan, that is by Hyder Ali and later by Tipu Sultan. After the third and fourth Anglo-Mysore war, the entire Kongu region passed into the hands of the English. So Dhiran Chinnamalai, so he was trained by the French military in modern warfare. So Dhiran Chinnamalai, he was trained by French military in modern warfare. He was along with the side of Tipu Sultan to fight against the British East India Company and got victories against the British. So Dhiran Chinnamalai, he was along the side of Tipu Sultan. So Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore. Okay, so he fought against the British East India Company and they got victories against the British. Yeah. After Tipu Sultan's death, Chinnamalai settled down at Vadanilai. So where is Vadanilai? Have you visited that place? Yeah, so which is near Archalur. Yeah, so after Tipu Sultan's death, Chinnamalai settled down at Vadanilai and constructed a fort there to continue the struggle against the British. So after the death of Tipu Sultan, after Tipu Sultan's death, Chinnamalai settled down at Vadanilai and he constructed a fort there to continue his struggle against the British. He sought the help of Marathas and Marudhu Bandiyar to attack the British at Coimbatore in 1800. So Chinnamalai, so he asked the help of Marathas and Marudhu Bandiyar to attack the British at Coimbatore in 1800. But the British forces managed to stop the armies of the Allies and hence Chinnamalai was forced to attack Coimbatore on his own. So Chinnamalai, after the death of Tipu Sultan, so constructed a fort at Vadanilai. So he sought the help of Marathas and Marudhu Bandiyar to attack the British at Coimbatore in 1800, but the British forces managed to stop the forces of Marathas and Marudhu Bandiyar. So Chinnamalai was forced to attack Coimbatore on his own. So his army was defeated and he escaped from the British forces. So Chinnamalai was defeated by the British forces and he escaped from the British forces. But Chinnamalai, so he involved in guerrilla warfare. So guerrilla warfare means so attacking suddenly. So they hide themselves. So and attack the enemy army. So in the unexpected time. So Chinnamalai engaged in guerrilla warfare and defeated the British in battles at Kaveri, Vadanilai and Archalur. So Chinnamalai engaged, so involved in guerrilla warfare and he defeated the British army in the battles at Kaveri, Vadanilai and Archalur. So during the final battle, Chinnamalai was betrayed by his cook Nallappan and he was hanged in Sangagiri Fort in 1805. So during the final battle, Chinnamalai was betrayed by his cook Nallappan. So his cook Nallappan, so he tell the secret information to the British where Chinnamalai was hiding. So during the final battle, Chinnamalai was betrayed by his cook Nallappan and he was hanged in Sangagiri Fort in 1805. Okay students, so today's class we discussed about VELUNACHIYAR, Marudhu brothers and Dhiran Chinnamalai. So VELUNACHIYAR, she was queen of Sivagangai. She was married to Muthuvadanganather, but Muthuvadanganather was killed in the Kalayar Koil battle in 1772. So VELUNACHIYAR escaped from the battlefield, so escaped from Sivagangai palace along with her daughter Velachinachiyar and she lived under the protection of Gopala Nayakar at Virupachi. Later she organized the army and she recaptured Sivagangai with the help of Marudhu brothers. Then we discussed about Marudhu brothers. So Marudhu brothers, so Periya Marudhu and Chinna Marudhu. So they were working under the Raja of Sivagangai. But later they became the rulers of Sivagangai. So the problem, so when was the problem? So began between British and the Marudhu brothers means, so the Marudhu brothers gave shelter to the brothers of Kattabomman. When the British asked them to hand over the fugitives, that is the brothers of Kattabomman, they refused. So the problem started between Marudhu brothers and British. So then we discuss about the South Indian Rebellion. So the Confederacy, so formed by Marudhu brothers. Then the Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. It was the first call by an Indian to unite against the British. So if you take Tamil Nadu, so the first male ruler to rose against the British in India, it was Pulithavar from Tamil Nadu. Then the first woman to rise against the British was VELUNACHIYAR. She is from Tamil Nadu. Then the first proclamation, that is the official statement issued by a ruler against the British to unite the Indians, was also from Tamil Nadu. So that is the Tiruchirappalli Proclamation. So was issued by Marudhu brothers. Then we discussed how the English annexed Sivagangai. So the Marudhu brothers were executed in the fort of Tirupattur in Ramanathapuram district on 24th October 1801. Finally, under the terms of the Karnataka Treaty on 31st July 1801, the British assumed direct control over Tamil Nadu. The Palayakar system was abolished. Then finally, we discussed about Dhiran Chinnamalai. So he is from Kongu country. So Kongu country, initially it was under the Nayak kingdom of Madurai. Later it was captured by Odayars of Mysore. Then Odayars were defeated and it went into the hands of Mysore Sultan. Then finally, after defeating the Mysore Sultans in the 3rd and 4th Anglo-Mysore War, so the British captured the Congo region. Okay, so Dhiran Chinnamalai along with Tipu Sultan so fought against the British. Yeah. But after Tipu Sultan's death, Dhiran Chinnamalai, so he asked the help of Marudhu and Marathas to fight against the British. But the English, so they can manage to stop the so the English managed to stop the armies of the Marathas and Marudhu. So Chinnamalai, he had to attack Coimbatore, so the British territory, by his own. But his army was defeated and he escaped from the British forces. But he involved in guerrilla warfare and defeated the British in various battles. But during the final battle, so he was betrayed by his cook Nallappan and he was hanged in the fort of Sangagiri in 1805. Sangagiri, so it is in Salem district. Okay, ma? Okay, students, so take your book. So textbook reading. So take page number 39. Read about Dhiran Chinnamalai. Then homework. So homework, take page number 46. So 6th round, 3rd question and 4th question. 3rd question. Who were the leaders of Palayakara Confederacy in the South Indian Rebellion? Take page number 39. The South Indian Rebellion heading, 2nd paragraph, 3rd line, last. So Marudhu of Sivagangai, Gopala Nayak of Dindigul, Kerala Varma of Malabar, and Krishnappa Nayak and Dondaji of Mysore. That is the answer for 3rd question. Then 4th question. What was the importance of Tiruchirappalli Proclamation? Take page number 39. So Tiruchirappalli Proclamation, 1801. The Marudhu issued a proclamation of independence called Tiruchirappalli Proclamation in June 1801. The proclamation of 1801 was the first call to the Indians to unite against the British. Then after 3 lines. So thus, so strike out the word thus. Marudhu brothers spread the spirit of opposition against the English everywhere. So this is the answer for 4th question. So read it and write it in your homework note. So thank you, students. Have a nice day.